welcome to episode 2 of the Just Because podcast with your hosts, Marodelo and
Dan the Man or Dano. I don't care. Surprise me. Call me whatever you want. I'm here for it.
Okay.
Just don't call me Sally.
All right. So today, let's jump into the songs. So
right.
I remember in our text conversation, you had some thoughts and felt passionate about the song I sent to you. Well, the first song I sent you, which was "This Is Gospel" by Panic at the Disco.
Yeah, so you sent me "This Is Gospel," and then hold on, I'm gonna pull this up because I don't want to have another snafu like we did last week with the Bruno Mars song.
If I Knew by Bruno Mars.
Yes. Okay. So, and by the way, this is just a conversation we had about 6 hours ago about me telling you I have some feelings about one of these songs.
Yeah.
So I'll say for your reference in where I'm coming from, Panic at the Disco kind of hit I would say their starting momentum peak when I was in college.
Okay, so
that's when their first album came out, and that was huge.
Right.
I really like, still to this day, their first album.
Yeah, I agree.
Everything since that album, hot take, I think is hot garbage. With the caveat of Brandon Urie is a phenomenal singer.
Yeah, no cap.
And I think that's the only thing that's kind of keeping them relevant, because when they started off, they were in that, I think, weird mix of like, we're still trying to figure out what pop punk is, and they're still kind of like rock and roll or like rock music. So it was that they fit into this weird niche where it was like, this is new, this is different, and it's really good stuff. After that, like, I don't even know what album they're on right now, 3, 4, 5. Whatever their like biggest song off their second album was, I listened to it and I'm like, I'm done. I'm like, I have the first album, I'm happy, I'll take it. And I've seen like videos of them playing live and just Brandon Urie singing. I'm like, all right, this is like the only reason I think this band has kind of lasted, is because this guy's got pipes and he knows he does.
Oh yeah.
So that one, no. However, I'm not a big Bruno Mars fan. Mm-hmm. I did like that song though.
Yeah.
Very like soulful and like feel good. And like I said, I'm not a big Bruno Mars fan. I'm like, okay, I can get behind this. This is like, if a lot of his stuff was like this, okay, I can possibly be talked into becoming a fan.
Exactly. Yeah, no, there's something to be said about both of those guys. So I'll start with Bruno Mars. My opinion on Bruno Mars is like, that album, Unorthodox Jukebox, that's my favorite. That was from 2011. That's my favorite album. And that was an album that was very pivotal for me, because that was right when I really started to pick up different instruments. And I remember playing that song and singing it horribly at the time because I didn't have the vocal ability.
Right.
But picking up the ukulele and singing it at this yearly blues camp that I did as a kid, that was also very pivotal for me in music. But also, it's just something about that song. The chord progression is very blues R&B, and given that I grew up on that kind of stuff, it's kind of it's right in that pocket. But at the same time, it's very easy to listen to.
Yes, I will agree with that. It's one of those songs I could just have it on and I'm like, all right, it's there. I know it's there. I like what's happening, but like, I'm not really super actively engaged, but I just know like there's good stuff happening.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because the song is about, making mistakes in relationships, but also saying like, if I knew that one day you would come along, I wouldn't have done all the things that I've done. And those are direct lyrics from the song. But that's what I kind of like about that type of music and that type of genre, is it's very verbatim, and they put their emotions and their stories out on their sleeve.
Yep. Yep.
And then Panic. So the whole thing about Panic is that do you know the whole story behind why they it's the Brendan Urie band, technically.
I don't. Like I said, I was a casual fan kind of when they first came out when I was in college. It was my freshman year, and excuse me. The only reason that I had like a peripheral knowledge of them was my roommate at the time. He always played, um, he always played that "Time to Dance" song when we didn't know what the hell it was called. So that kind of just got stuck in a loop over my head, and then I heard them do like the "Irate Sins Not Tragedies," but it's better if you do. And I was like, okay, like I like these songs. So I just went out and bought the album. And like when I got it, I didn't realize how good it really was. Like there's only probably about 2 or 3 songs on the album that I'm not a big fan of, but they're all very well written and they're all very good songs. So that's the only reason I kind of know why they exist, because my roommate in college, like he was into a lot more of that, like a lot more of that stuff. At the time, I was basically like, I listened to like this music or this music. I didn't really have like a really like diversified knowledge, and I wasn't really kind of like gonna go down the rabbit hole. Like I'm gonna try to find new stuff. I was like, I know what I like. I'm gonna stick in my lane, and that's what I'm going to do.
Oh yeah, good. No, that's the thing is like finding a preference for what you like, regardless if you're a musician or not. You know, music is something that is supposed to be enjoyed, and if you if you catch yourself in a loop of listening to music you think sucks, it's like, what's the point?
Right, and it also goes back to kind of what we talked about last week when we got on the topic of DMX. When I told you I was like, when I was in middle school trying to figure out my musical identity, like I was going back and forth like hip hop, punk, and stuff like that. So it's like it is one of those things that like as I've gotten older, I realize, okay, like a lot of my tastes have stayed the same, but like I've added some stuff onto it. Like for example, like when I sent you that Lettuce song, like I didn't start listening to Lettuce until about 6-7 years ago. I had no idea who the hell they were.
Yeah.
So, what's the story behind the Brandon Urie band that has come out as Panic at the Disco?
So basically it started out as Panic at the Disco, right? But like most bands like that, like a lot of songs, I mean a lot of bands like, you know, Train and Journey, like and even most recent bands like Bastille is like, you know, the lead singer is the face and the voice of the band, not only on the stage, but also in interviews and in photo shoots. And they're always kind of pushed to the front because they're the front man.
Right.
But so the thing is like, you know, Brendan basically became, obviously, like most lead singers in the band, the driving force behind the band.
Okay.
And initially, like it's not the same people that played on the first album that it is the rest of the music. So at this, but like before the pandemic when they were touring, he hired all those people. And in the first band, it was a band, but then
Right.
he had to fire a couple of people, and then eventually he had to rehire the whole band. And even the drummer had like a really bad drug addiction. I don't know the specifics on that, but I just know that you know, they kind of see him as not the drummer, but they see Brendan as kind of an ass for the reasons for firing people. And I don't know the specifics, and I want to read more up on it. And I wish I knew more about it.
It's fine. I'm not really overly concerned about it at this point, but I kind of see what you're saying, because it reminds me a lot of Paramore, where like Haley is like, she is Paramore. Everybody else is kind of like
the drummer, though. The drummer's, he's important.
Yeah, but what you see, like every time you think of Paramore, you immediately think of Haley Williams.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, I agree, because same thing with the band like Hailstorm. You think of Lizzie Hale.
Okay.
And you know, it's all about the front men. You know what I mean? And I kind of find you might like this band. They're more like I would say like pop hard rock. They're called the band Camino, and they have 2 lead.
Heard that name.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. Right before the pandemic, they were going to open up for Dan and Shay, which is a huge country duo that really blew the hell up. And even though the band Camino isn't country in the slightest, it can kind of fall into that similar genre. But
interesting.
It's interesting to watch a band with 2 lead singers, because it gives you a different perspective on appreciating what they offer different to the table, because they'll both like they both can play guitar and keys, but they don't play the same thing in every song. They bounce back and forth. Sometimes they just sing or use
Okay.
the guitar or use the guitar as a prop while they're singing. Um, and it adds a whole new appreciation because there's two different voices as well.
Yeah.
And there's that back and forth dynamic.
Oh, and I mean, I kind of relate to that. I can relate to that, and I can understand that a lot of my favorite bands have two lead singers. Like, for example, Less Than Jake has like their guitarist and their bassist both are lead singers.
That's right.
So they'll switch off literally song to song, or like Chris, who's the guitarist, will take a few songs. Roger, who's the bassist, will take a few songs. So like they rotate back and forth, and it's their voices are very similar. However, like, but the big defining difference is Chris has a much more raspy voice, and Roger's more like he's got the little bit lower one. So you can if you're listening, you can really tell who's who if you've listened to them for a while. But if you're kind of just like listening, you're like, oh, that this sounds exactly the same. So, but I do know what you're talking about. It does add a completely different dynamic.
Yeah, and also it's kind of interesting to watch. The fact that every tour, sometimes they'll have a different, like if there's two lead singers, sometimes they'll have a different person on the drums or a different person on
Okay.
whoever isn't singing.
Interesting.
And the thing is like I've seen, like for example, back to the one lead, like seeing John Mayer. He's not in a band. He's John Mayer, right?
Yeah.
But I remember watching him in one show. He had like 3 different sets. He had an acoustic set, which was very short and kind of in the middle of the show, kind of like to bring it down and bring it back up.
Mm-hmm.
And like he started out with the trio, which is Steve Jordan and Pino Palladino, drummer and bassist, and then John obviously plays guitar.
Right.
And they started off like that, just bam, hit everybody in the face with the trio songs, and then bring it down with the acoustic set, and then they brought it back up by bringing out the full band, which is like 10 or 11 people, and just writing that out for the second half of the show.
Interesting. Okay.
So and then I kind of like think about how, okay, well maybe next time I see the band Camino, or the next time I see John Mayer, he may have different people playing.
Yeah.
It's all about who's the right fit, and then also who's available.
Right.
That's
the other side of the coin too.
Yeah, because a tour is something that you give up months of your time for.
Yeah, and that's why you see a lot of things like that's why you see a lot of things with a lot of bands that'll say like, here are the members, but then it'll be like touring members. And sometimes those rotate in and out. So like you might have like one drummer for part of the tour, someone for the other part of the tour, and flip-flop things like that. So like that's interesting you bring that up.
Yeah, no, it's all about so let's dive into your songs. So
yes,
you sent me Dead Ramones by Modern Life is War.
Yep.
And False Idols Fall by Comeback Kid.
Yes.
Now, what I found interesting about these songs is that they're kind of in that angsty storytelling, but also but the way that they deliver the song is almost satirical in a way, because it's not funny, but it has a strong point.
Exactly.
Like the story that I picked up from the Dead Ramones song it's a coming of age story about not pursuing the beaten path and rather seeking a path less taken in search for a more interesting life as a whole.
Right. And that's their first album.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the stuff they relate to is like, it's like these like 17, 18-year-old kids just on the road, like trying to figure out how to make it.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I heavily relate to that story, to the story of the song.
And that would be why I sent it to you.
Heavily. And if I was in a really, really bad mood, I'd put that shit on.
I love it. The whole album is fantastic, but that's probably my favorite one off it. And then as far as the False Idols Fall, like, so that's Comeback Kid's second album, but it's the last album with their original singer. So they got into the guy that was the lead guitarist picked up the vocals. It's the same, but it's not. But I just like the story that song tells. because like I feel like we live in a time where like we put a lot of people and things on pedestals that don't need to be there.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe I'm a sadistic. I love watching the downfall of it. That's me.
No, who doesn't?
I will own that 100%. But like anybody that's been up on a pedestal, watching them get knocked down a few pegs.
Yes,
I'm just sitting there like I'm sitting there like Mr. Burns in The Simpsons, like, yes, Smithers, yes.
Yeah,
That shit is hilarious to me.
and it's a win-win. It's a win-win lose because we like to watch it, makes a lot of money for the media companies, but that person's brand is and it's like
bye. Yeah, that just speaks to me on a deeply personal level.
Yeah, I mean,
for a lot of things, but
it's clearly a story about, posers who they crash due to their actions. And like, for example, like, do you know the whole David Dobrik thing that happened?
You and I talked about this a little bit. Yeah.
So David Dobrik is he's like one of those big content creators, and basically he's not basically what he did is what he likes to do is he likes to get people drunk in a controlled situation or not really so controlled. We'll get to that. And then he just turns on the camera and films them. And
that's like a snuff film.
Yeah, it's basically, yeah. And it also, like, the consequences of that are like people actually getting like assaulted or whatever. And it's like he's clearly just like, how could you also condone it but also know about it, not say anything about it for the sake of your own content in your wallet? It's like, here's the thing. This goes for politically and humanitarianly. I'm all about liberty, and everyone should do whatever they want, however they want to do it, as long as and be successful, as long as they don't hurt anyone along the way. And as long as you don't hurt anybody along the way, your slate is clean.
For the most part, I agree with that.
What's your counter to that, would you say?
For the most part, I agree with that, but I've said this before and I say this every day. People are stupid and people are the worst. And because of my undergrad degree in history and all this other stuff, like, I've seen a lot of stuff, I've read a lot of stuff, and I always go back to Karl Marx writing the Communist Manifesto. Sounds great in theory. You know what you forgot to add in? Greed and stupidity.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I think it's great that we live in a society, we live in a world that we have the freedom to do these things and express ourselves and do kind of, for the most part, whatever the hell we want.
Right. Yeah.
But if and when, and I say it that way for a specific reason, if and when you fuck up, one, don't be surprised, and two,
for real,
own it. Don't try to backpedal. Don't try to change the narrative. Don't try to say like, oh, it wasn't me, it was this other person. Like, if you do something that stupid and you're caught, you deserve whatever's coming to you.
Exactly.
Like, tenfold, I do not care.
Yeah, like, there are people like EDP445 and Dr. Mike who own up to their crap. Like EDP445, he got exposed for being, trying to date a 13-year-old, right? And he was just like, and they're just like, so you like to fantasize about girls that are under the age of 16? He's like, yes. And it's like, okay, at least he's owning up to it. And
then, as jarring and frightening that is you're like, all right, the dude's got the balls to say it.
Yeah, no,
I don't agree with it, but okay.
Yeah, right.
Like, I don't like this. I don't condone this, but I guess points. I don't know.
Yeah. And then there's also this Dr. Mike guy. He went, what is it? He went down to Florida, where like COVID is very like down because
don't get me started. Don't get me started on Florida.
Yeah, so there's nothing there, and and he goes off, and his friend throws him a surprise birthday party on a yacht with a bunch of people, and he got caught. And he owned up to it, and like literally within a week, everyone forgot about it. Right. Because like, it's not like there was a 13-year-old who's trying to date on the boat. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And let's just put this out there, and I can't believe that we actually have to say this. We don't condone anything these creepy are doing.
Absolutely not.
We're
Exactly.
just merely discussing the peripherals of what's happening.
Yeah, we're just observing.
Yes,
And
let me throw that disclaimer out there, because we live in this stupid woke world where everybody's going to clip something that's going to be completely out of context. And yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah. Every day I wake up, I'm like, oh, what new fun adventure is going to happen in this fucked up world today?
right, and this will segue into our next topic,
Nah.
or the topic of the day: failure.
Failure. We got like a rainbow right here, like failure.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll edit that.
We'll
Shit.
figure that out.
Um,
We'll fix this in post.
so give me an example of, I wouldn't say your biggest failure, but a failure that stuck out to you and how you learned from it. What would you say it would be?
Um, Actually, well, the main one I can think of is, and not a lot of people know about this because I keep a lot of my own, I keep a lot of my own life to myself. Um, I was in the most diplomatic way possible. I was asked to leave from a company that I worked for.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
um, and I mean, I was already not happy. There was already a lot of things that were really kind of bothering me, and um, it was one of those things that I was like, I'm not happy as this happens. And it takes a little time to kind of get through that, because like you have to sit back, just take a day at a time, like process how all this goes, like how your life's going to change and this, that, and the other thing. But I never thought whenever it happened that I had failed. um it's one of those things where I was like, I learned everything I could, I did everything that I could, I pushed for the right reasons for a lot of things and got nowhere. um for this, that, and the other thing. But at no point did I really ever say like, oh, like I failed, or like I wasn't good enough to do this. It was like one of those things. I was like, I did what I thought was right. I owned all the stuff that I did. If they didn't like it, I don't care. I ended up getting a better job anyway. But so like, I just feel that a lot of what parents teach kids, and even just the world as a whole, it's like everybody's so very afraid of failure.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't be. We should embrace it. You should embrace the suck. You should embrace the lessons you're going to get out of it, because that's when you're going to learn more. You're never going to learn more when somebody's patting you on the back or giving you all the accolades or blowing smoke up your ass.
Right.
That's not how it works. You're going to learn in the hard times. You're going to learn whenever you're beaten down and you don't know how you can go anymore. You're going to learn more whenever you're just like on the brink of breaking. That's when you learn.
Exactly.
And that's one of those things that, like, whenever we have a kid, I'm going to ingrain that into their head from day one. I'm going to be like, shoot the moon. If you fail, it's not the end of the world. And I think that's what a lot of people like need to realize. Now I understand there's different professions where like obviously failure is not the best thing, i.e. like a doctor. Like obviously you don't want to fail in like in a medical type of situation. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but what I'm saying is like, in a case like that, learn from it. Don't dwell on it. Don't kind of like sink yourself into that hole of self-loathing and pity, and like just kind of collapsing on yourself where you're just like, I can't do this, or I don't know how I'm going to get on with it. Like we're all humans. Being a human is hard.
It is.
Being an adult is hard. It's life. So like we just have to do it.
Exactly. And like I completely get what you're saying. Like there have definitely been situations where I felt like it was not necessarily the end of the world, but I would beat the crap out of myself emotionally for it, and realizing it just wasn't worth it.
No, and again because of like how everybody perceives the world and perceives everything else, there's a big stigmatism with like mental health and therapy and things like that. And I've talked about this well, like therapy's great. Everybody should be in therapy. Everybody should prioritize their mental health. Like nothing else to say about that.
It's
Prioritize your mental health. Do it.
therapy is the spackle for the human brain.
Yep, that's a good way to put it. It's a
Yeah,
really good way to
it
put it.
is, and it's not. Here, a lot of people say it's for sick people, and it's no. It's sure it can definitely
It
help.
can be, but that's not what it's geared for.
Exactly, like it may help sick people, but sick people are still people. Like we're
Right.
all people. Like we all. I think that everyone should have therapy. I don't care how together your life is or how perfect you may think it is. Everyone's got. It's just
Yeah,
different.
and I was gonna say nobody's life is perfectly together, and if it is, they've not lived enough.
No, it's not. And going on to that off of the failure is like I dated someone like that who
Yeah.
really didn't have the life experience. Like, they'd never caught up any friends in life. They never faced rejection. They got into the college they wanted. They never got bullied. They had the same friends their whole life. It was just like this person does not know what it's like to face adversity because they've lived it too easily.
Well,
And
I was saying, and to your point, like the biggest slap in the face is the not getting into the college you want.
yeah.
Like when you're like that hurts.
And I remember, like one day she was like, I'm gonna have a real problem with rejection. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, then she listed all those things. I just
And you're
listed.
like, yeah, you're in for some. Yeah.
Some people just set themselves up to get slapped in the face. And I mean, I'm not saying I did that. That
No,
no disclaimer, I slapped her ever.
and I would not say you would either. But again,
Metaphorically.
yes, that I was like, what's that word I'm thinking of? So sorry, I haven't slept much in the last 2 days. It's been fun, and we'll get to why I'm so tired in a couple.
You want to talk about your failure to sleep?
No, but I can talk about why I haven't slept.
Okay.
We can get off failure, but also kind of like tangentially talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go for
so,
it. It's the rant. Let's go.
Yeah, so tangentially, we'll stay on the topic of failure. Yesterday, we did a 4-hour sweat crawl with two of our friends.
That sounds, yeah, I saw it on Instagram. That sounds a sweat crawl.
It was terrible.
That sounds disgusting.
It was terrible. So it was this fitness event where you go around to 8 different studios that have 8 different types of workouts.
Right.
You did them each for 10 minutes, but you had to walk to every site. Sounds all right. I'm like, all right, it's 80 minutes. I can figure this out.
Right. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm 34. I have nobody to impress. I'm in terrible shape. I don't care.
And it's the pandemic.
Yeah. But, oh yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, I'm like wearing this like gaiter. I can't breathe.
Yeah.
So I'm sucking fabric for the whole time. It's awesome. So I'm like, it's just great. So
man,
we go start wandering around, do our thing.
Right.
It starts off with a Versa ladder workout.
Mm-hmm.
You know what those are, right? Those things have like the 2 hand grips, and you put your feet in it, and it's like you're climbing a ladder like this.
Right. Yeah. Gym class, high school. I remember that.
Yeah. If you've never done them, good for you, because they are the devil.
They are. I agree.
So we start off with that, and and already I'm like, this is a terrible idea. And as we're going through it, the girl that's teaching the class is not even doing it with us. She's like barely on it, but she's like walking around like her little like podium. They're like, you guys could do it. Let's go, blah, blah, blah. And they're playing
30 more reps.
And they're playing this horrific pop music. So I'm already tuned out.
Right.
So that's how it starts. And I'll just say it didn't get much better after that. By the time we got to, what was this? Oh, the second one was a trampoline workout. Can you imagine me on a trampoline? Because I couldn't until then.
Yeah, I honestly,
terrifying.
You ever go on Aunt Cindy's trampoline?
Yeah, when I was like 15.
Yeah, like as an adult.
It's been a hot minute, man.
Yeah.
So that's the second thing. We're on these like little mini trampolines, like doing this workout. And my buddy is, so I'm here. My buddy's like catty corner up here.
Right.
We're staring at each other in the mirror the whole time. We're just like, So
dying. Like,
yeah,
you're like,
no, no,
no!
we're like hopping on this thing. We're one like bad jump away from flying out the window. Get through that, and we get to this next one that's like, and this is when I was like, all right, there's finally like shit that I can do. It was this like CrossFit kind of thing. So what they had set up for us were rowing machines, medicine balls, dumbbells, and then the other station was a treadmill. So you do 5 minutes on the treadmill, you're doing like jogging, sprinting, walking, whatever. I don't run. I'd rather, and I will tell you this right now, I swam for 9 years. I would rather swim a 10K than run a 10K. And I will take that to my grave.
Yeah, you're also a swimmer. So
yeah, I will take that to my grave. I will swim anytime to not do running. So start doing that. And I should have prefaced the story with I jacked my knee up on Tuesday.
dude.
Saturday comes and I'm like, all right, my knee's going to be fine. Until 5 out of the 8 stations we went to had squats and lunges. It was great. So we start going through that one and I'm just like, I'm like, okay, this hurts, but I can kind of like pummel through it. We get to the next one, and I'm noticeably like, okay, I need to take it easy. Like my knee is going to give out.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm favoring my right leg because I screwed up my left knee. So I know I'm favoring my right leg a little bit. So I can kind of feel it like tightening. And I'm like, okay, I got to just like take it a little easy. So the next place is like, you do those, like you put those things on your shoes and you slide back and forth. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like you like push off and you're like sliding back and forth on a mat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, super fun, by the way. So we're doing that. Then the next station is squat up, medicine ball, and like throw it over your shoulder, and you just do that for like 2 minutes straight. Cool. And the last one was kettlebells, like reverse. It was like reverse squat. So like you're holding it here, and then you just go down, down, up, down, down, like, and then you switch arms after a minute.
Right.
So you do like reverse lunges with it. When we get to the medicine ball thing, I grab one of the lighter ones because I know my knee is. I'm like I can feel it. I'm in a lot of pain, and I'm like I need to just kind of chill. Like I'll just get the 20-pound one. It'll be fine. Start doing it. The guy that works there hands me the 35, and he's like, "Oh, this is better for you." And I'm like, "All right, just walk away from me. I'll just do it with this heavier one. I'll suck it up and deal with it." And I'm starting to do it, and then he starts to critique my thing, and I'm like, "Bro, my knee's jacked up. Get away from me."
Oh.
And he's like still standing there. I'm like, and like he starts like walking away. I'm like, I should just throw this ball at him. Like he just pissed me off to the point where I'm like, here's a 35-pounder. So, yeah. So I was like, so awesome. We leave that one. As I'm walking out, my left quad is spasming.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is not gonna end well. Go do yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, I can deal with this. Yeah. The next one was all body weight. It was like reverse lunges, sumo squats, burpees.
Yeah.
I'm like at this point I'm starting to just like black out from pain because I'm like I can't do this anymore. Go to the next one. Sandbag squats into lat pulls. Then it was medicine, or then it was kettlebell lunges into sit-ups, holding it above you, which I could do till the cows come home.
Right. Yeah.
I could do that in my sleep. Then it's medicine ball squats and push-ups.
So now let me ask you, did the yoga help with your knee at all?
I was in so much pain I didn't even know what was happening.
No, I could tell.
Yeah. I was like just laying there, and I'm like, I just want to lay down. I don't care.
The look on your face in the last photo, you're like,
oh, that's why I said like it says it all.
Oh yeah, it does.
It was bad. So, And then the last thing in the sixth place was that like that mace where it's like the rod and that ball on top of it. So we were doing wood chippers and I forget what the other thing was.
Wood chippers.
So like you started up here and you lunge back with your opposite leg. So if you're holding on your right hand, if you're holding it like over here, so I'm holding on my right and I'm coming down here, I'm lunging back with my right leg. So you do this like motion where it's like this and you step backwards. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Finish that one. And then the last one we go to, we're walking down the thing and we walk into the place because it's all designed, it's a HIIT workout place. So it's like you do 45 seconds, you have 15 seconds to get to the next station, and that's your full minute.
Right, yeah.
So it's like you're just dying the whole time. We go, so and it's a bunch of different things. So it's like there's battle ropes, spin bikes, and then it's you do a burpee and sprint. Then they have the benches, and you're doing you're holding onto it, and you're doing like knee ups over each side, and then box jumps. Oh no! Before box jumps, it's body weight squats, and if you want to have more fun, get one of the sandbags.
Dude, rip your fucking knee.
The guy walks in. He's like, "Who's in pain?" I'm like, "Yo." He's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "This knee shot, this quad shot." He's like, "Oh." He's like, "Modify everything." I was like, "I was gonna."
Yeah. No, I hand it to you. But let me ask you something. So you brought up the idea of you would rather swim a certain distance.
I would rather swim a 10K. I would rather swim a 10K than run a 10K.
Is it because so let me ask you, does your height give you an advantage to your swimming? Because if you're longer?
In part, yes, but also my height should be an equalizer as I run. I just can't run.
Yeah. No, I don't.
That's the long and short of it. I cannot run. I hate running. I refuse to do it at every possible turn I can.
Yeah, I'm the same way about it. I'm asthmatic, so I can't run. Like the only time I run is when I'm in an adrenaline rush to save my life.
Yeah, that's the only time I'm gonna run. If somebody's chasing me and wants to kill me, I'm running. Other than that, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, no, like no. Running.
You're gonna stab me? Okay. I might have deserved it. I don't know. But yeah, so the moral of the story is I failed. I don't care.
There you go.
It is what it is. And
how very Ben Askren of you.
A little bit. Except I rather probably would have got punched in the face and made like $1 million.
Yeah, no, he literally got punched in the face and made $1 million. But hey, you know what? Like you said,
you know what? More power to him. He cashed out. He's not worried about life.
No, he's got kids. He's got a wife. He's going back to doing his thing. Like, who cares?
Who gives a damn? But yeah, so moral of the story here, kids, is don't be afraid to fail.
That's right.
We'll teach you some shit. In my case, it was, hey, you need to start doing more squats because your knee sucks.
Yeah, no, yeah. So segue. Oh wait, let me ask you one more thing before I get into my failure thing. So,
go ahead.
How did you jack up your knee?
So we have. I've been since COVID hit. I've been canceling my gym memberships and all the stuff together. So I still have to cancel my Planet Fitness. I just haven't gotten around to it, and a lot of it is because I really don't feel like driving into Mount Lebanon to go sign a paper that cancels it because I don't want to talk to one of the stupid kids working there and have them be like, well, you can get this. I was like, shut the fuck up and give me the goddamn paper. I never want to look at you again. So
damn. So well, yeah, I get how you.
Yeah, so I'm just like there's a lot to it. But so we bought a Peloton, and we bought it like before it was cool during the pandemic to own one. So we got it before, or we got it like right before all like the shit hit the fan.
Right. Yeah.
And I love it. It's fantastic. It's so good. And then when the pandemic hit, I was trying to get weights, which I don't know if you tried to get them during like right when the shutdown happened.
Oh yeah, but it was
nowhere.
Literally impossible. Literally
so
impossible. I feel you.
yeah, so I had been going back and forth on getting one of those like home training things, and I'm sure you've seen the things from like the like Lululemon has that like mirror thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
there's another one. The one that we got is called the Tempo, which is kind of like the mirror, but it comes with dumbbells, a barbell, and weights.
That's nice.
It's super nice.
I bet it wasn't cheap.
It was the middle ground because the
Okay,
one that I wanted,
that's all you
um,
need.
the one that I wanted, I still want to get it, but we held off on it for two reasons. One, it was like 1,500 more than what we paid for the Tempo, and two, I wasn't sure how it was going to move when we moved out of this house, because the way that it's set up is it sits on your wall. It's called the tonal.
Hmm.
Um, it sits like on your wall, so like it only takes up like it only sits off the wall like about this much, and you have just the equipment and stuff like that, and it's all resistance. There's no weights to it. It's like a bar,
I
and
see. Yeah,
all the weights and stuff go up by resistance. That's what I want, and eventually I'm gonna talk Carrie into getting it. Like
right.
whenever we like buy a new house or whatever, I'm just gonna say, hey, like let's just get this like in conjunction with everything else we have, because we have the Tempo, we have a Peloton, and we have a treadmill.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so that was a big driving force of us getting all this fitness equipment. And now I'm just kind of like, it makes no sense for me to own a gym membership, like because my one buddy I work out with pretty consistently, I'm just gonna start having him over.
Was that the guy that you did this thing with that you were just talking
No,
about?
that's a different. The person I work out with pretty frequently is my reverend friend that married us. He lives right
Oh,
up the road
yeah.
from.
I
Yeah, he lives.
remember him. Nice
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
he lives right up the road from us, and we started working out at Planet Fitness, and so we still try to kind of do it. So I'm gonna have him over, and we'll just do stuff in the house, because with the Tempo, I can buy more weights.
Right.
So I can buy more. The next ones I'm gonna get, I'm probably gonna get more 10 pounds, and they have 25-pound plates too. So I'm probably gonna get two or four more tens, two and four more fives, and then the 25s.
Right.
Because the whole reason I want to get the 25s is because I want to start like deadlifting again at home.
Good for you.
Because right now I can do it, but the barbell is only 25 pounds instead of the 45 you get at the gym. So I want to get the 25s to be able to start doing the deadlifting, and then once I like slowly work up, I'll just start benching with the 25 and stuff like that.
There you go.
And so at this point, all I really need is a bench. If I can just get one of those benches where it lays flat, goes down, goes incline, and things like that, I don't need a gym anymore.
No, you
And
don't.
with the Tempo, there's a giant screen, and there's you can do classes through it.
Nice. Oh yeah.
So
I've
so
been seeing advertisements for that on YouTube.
yeah, so I absolutely love it. I stand by it. I cannot just promote this product enough. I can't promote that enough, or the Peloton. I love both of them.
Right. Yeah.
But I did this workout on Tuesday that that had a lot of squats in it, and I I have slacked off with my leg workouts, obviously, since I can't go like do like heavy deadlifts and things like that. And I noticed like my knee hurt for a day, and I was like, oh, I'll be fine. But stupid me, I got on the bike the next day.
Oh yeah.
So I did it to myself, and I know what I did, but I paid for it yesterday. And like I said, and it's one of those things where I never really imagined that it's gonna be all this body weight stuff, all these school like I think out of every single thing that we did, two of them didn't have squats involved in it. And it was the ladder and the yoga. Everything else had some form of squat involved in it. Even the trampoline, because you're stuck in that position and you're just going bouncing on your knees.
This sounds like a very booty based workout if it's all squats.
I do remember chanting, or I do remember telling my friends and my wife as we were walking to the bar afterward, I can't feel my right cheek.
I don't blame you for guys getting drinks after. I mean, I
Well,
would.
they gave you a free drink ticket. I'm like, I should get 5. Like, I finished this thing. Just give me all the drinks.
Oh yeah.
But that was a nice thing. So we did everything, and then we just stayed and hung out down in the strip. There's a really good brewery down there that we just hung out for about 3 hours, and then came home. So it was a good day.
Yeah.
Now today is a different story, because going up and down the stairs, I just want to weep like a school child.
No, I don't blame you. Here's the thing, like there's no shame in being in pain after a workout if you fuck something up beforehand.
I agree.
Like dude, like that's the thing about workouts is like whenever people say, "Oh, I'm going light today," but like I should, and I'm like, why do you have to justify going light? You're supposed to do that anyway.
No, and I'm a big proponent of, you got to take a light day. Take all the light days you need, because after my knee hurt, I did like 15 and 20-minute low impact rides on the bike, because I know how that thing works. Whereas if you don't pick like a beginner, a low impact ride, you don't know what's going to happen.
No.
Yeah. For example, one of the rides that vividly sticks out in my mind, it was called a fun ride. I assure you, it was anything but fun. I'm sitting warming up. I'm like, all right, cool. Crank the resistance up, go like 120, and I'm like, what is happening?
You should review workout equipment and make a segment out of it.
Oh God, I can't.
It would be great. I would love to. I would watch it.
We'll put that on the Patreon.
Like it, all of it.
Yeah, we'll put that on the Patreon.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll review a lot of stuff I have in the house, and I'll just be like, I'll buy this. Like, yeah, don't do this. It sucks. Like the Gorilla Bows. The band came off, slapped me in the dick. No more.
For real though, I slapped myself in the. Okay, speaking of,
I slapped myself in the leg with that thing, and it sucks.
I slapped myself in the trachea.
I think you told me that,
dude. Literally, it hit me so fast. So it was the reaction of it coming up, but also the force of it hitting my throat.
Yep.
It knocked me flat on my back, and I cried for like 30 seconds. I'm like, holy shit.
Were you laying there just like,
I'm like, it was horrible. Oh my God.
No, it's not fun, is it?
No, it hurts, dude.
Yeah. Oh, no, I do love that thing, but there are times where I'm doing stuff on it. I'm like, this is gonna really hurt if I screw something up.
Oh no, I feel that. Speaking of screwing something up, not really screwing something up, but my failure story. I consider it a pseudo failure. So between 9th and 11th grade, I took a robotics class, and I took it was like academic robotics, honors robotics, and it was like independent robotics, all in consecutive years. And it's not really an honors class. It means it's just you're doing a higher level of mechanical drawing and 3D printing, stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
While at the time I wasn't thinking about being a musician as a profession, that wasn't until like literally my senior year of high school. So
Excuse me, we're taking a quick house tour while I get more bourbon.
All good. Well, there we go.
We'll put this on the Patreon. Dan's house tour.
Dan's house tour. I like the interior. I'm a fan.
Well, that was all me. I was like, my dad was like, "What color you want?" I'm like, "Black." He's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Just black. I don't care. Just make it black."
No, it's easy to clean. You don't really have to clean it. Doesn't show any stains. Unlike cars that are black. My car's black.
Yeah. Hot take: don't buy a black car.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna, as soon as I have like the disposable income to respray my car a metallic white, I'm gonna do it.
White's worse, dude.
Well, here's the thing. My dad has an eggshell white truck. Doesn't show shit.
All right.
Yes, it
does. Because Carrie's old Honda was white, and it was new. Which, by the way, this was a birthday present from my buddy.
Ragged Branch. Okay.
Small batch bourbon out of Virginia. Hey, Ragged Branch, sponsor us. This is good shit.
Good shit.
The goodest of shit.
So the failure in the class that I had was, like the first 2 years I was able to get by. I was able to get by in the class. And the third year is independent, which basically means you get to control the project. You get to pretty much do whatever you want. It'll
So it's like
count
a free
as class
for all.
credit. And yeah, exactly. And so the whole idea of engineering and robotics really fascinated me. I thought, maybe this would be a career path for me, but I slowly realized it wasn't, because I remember it was the junior year, was the independent year, right? Because it was
Ooh,
academic
yeah.
9th grade, honors 10th grade, independent 11th grade. And when I
Mhm.
got to the independent class, I had these projects in my mind and they never came to fruition. I never ended up finishing anything. And
Yep.
I don't know why, but the teacher he just passed me. I mean, the guy he was awesome. We had a good like relationship. He was like the Betty professor of the school. Everyone loved him.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a single person that didn't like him. And I remember he passed me and thinking like, obviously I took the A. I'm not going to be like, hey, why did you give me an A?
Yeah, you don't flex on that.
Yeah, who snitches on themselves, right? Um, but I took it as a pseudo failure because I didn't really earn the A, but I still got by because I was good. I was a good kid in school. Like my dad's a teacher,
Yep,
so
yep.
I get it.
Yeah.
But I took it as a failure because I realized like I spent 3 years in this class. I spent an hour a day for 3/4 of my high school career, pretty much not really knowing what was going on, or not really fully understanding or compartmentalizing what it was in my head to me.
Right.
And and I remember obviously like at the time, like I wanted to be like, why did you give me an A? Like why? I literally didn't turn in a single project and you gave me a straight, not an A plus, but a straight A through the whole year. And the thing, I'm not attacking the teacher, of course. I'm not gonna do that, but it's more of like a whole I took it as a failure because I didn't learn anything. I didn't and it's
Yep.
and it has nothing to do with like my career today as a musician and as a runway model and an actor. It's a whole different thing. But the thing is I learned at the end of the day that being a good person will only get you so far. You know, you have to show the work and show the effort. But then again, it's school and it's a different environment, and I kind of just got the A. But I
Right.
always look back, I'm like, I didn't earn it.
I mean, that happens. And I think we all have a few of those, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah,
And I mean, I think of a lot of just stupid stuff that I've thought of over the years that never came to fruition. And I would say, I think where I'm different is I never really thought of those as failures because I never really kind of got them off the ground.
mm,
It was just like weird stuff I had in my head. And it was stuff like that where I never considered that a failure. And this will come with age and as you kind of see the world.
yeah,
It's one of those things where you'll look back and you'll just be like, I don't know why I thought this way about this or this way about that. And that's just kind of like that's how you're going to learn, how you're going to grow. And that is what it is. It's nothing that you should kind of beat yourself up over, kind of exactly like we were talking about. There are certain things that you need to not dwell on. There's certain things you don't need to beat yourself up over because it's not going to get you anywhere.
no, yeah, like
It's going to just put you in an endless cycle of, for lack of a better term, and I know this is going to get bleeped out, furry.
yeah, yeah,
It's
no,
what it is.
and it's weird because like I didn't like. Here's the thing, I didn't beat myself up for long about it because I was like, forget high school. I got to worry about my progression as a musician.
Yep.
Um, but I guess like the whole beating up thing, comes back to it's weird. Like I beat myself up more about my first relationship than I did about anything else, and I think it wasn't because I did anything wrong, because like obviously like we're not perfect, and like there were a couple of things that I shouldn't have done that weren't. It was like I was putting too much onto that person, right? But I guess what I'm trying to say is like at the same time, I beat myself up so hard because I had no control over it and I could have walked away.
Okay, I
Um,
see what you're saying.
yeah, because here's the thing, like I would regret not walking away sooner if I didn't get like 3 good songs out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always
Yeah.
you always get something out of failure and it's okay to fail. And it's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's something that everybody it happens to literally everybody.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And like if anything, is I wish I didn't beat myself up as much as I did. You know?
Like I said, it's one of those things you'll because you're only dude, shit. You're 21. You got years. You got years to fuck stuff up before you figure out what's going on.
Absolutely, and I'm fucking ready for it.
I unfortunately don't have that luxury anymore. I mean, I do, but it's not really good for a 34-year-old to do this. But you'll figure all that stuff out. It's just it'll come with time. And like I said, I didn't know what the hell I want. Like when I went to college, I thought I wanted to be a history professor. Made a startling discovery second semester freshman year. I hate kids. Don't think this career path is going to work out for me. So
Why is it just like
it was because of how I was at the time.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Now like obviously I want to have a kid, so like I have to like them somewhat.
Obviously, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just at the time like I sat back and thought about it, and I just said, this is not what I want to do. So tried to parlay it into LSATs, took one look at the LSAT book, said my brain doesn't work like this, you're firewood. Graduated with my degree, and then knew I was going to go back and get another degree in something else.
Right.
And that's how I figured out where I am today. It's just like that's how it works. I knew when I got out of college, I was like, all I have to do, a lot of opportunities that were like sales, and I'm like, this sucks even worse than the other stuff that I hated. So I don't want that.
No, yeah, I think that I'm very fortunate in the fact that I kind of, it was interesting. It wasn't like I was forced into it, but you know, like the first opportunity that I had to work with a professional, like a music producer, a guy that does it for a living.
Yeah.
And having the luxury of being able to pursue that.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, like this experience is unlike anything I've ever done before. Like I've never worked on it. Worked on music at this level. And getting to actually do it completely changed my perception of my whole life, and thinking like, wow, like I've never actually felt this engaged before in my entire life. And that's the thing. You know, I feel like people, they say, oh, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't know where to even start. I don't, you know, but I think about like, what are you most passionate about more than anything else?
Yeah. And I think that's a good way to look at it. But I also think looking back on it at a more, from my perspective, like a cerebral and just analytical level, I don't think anybody really knows what they want to do. I think we all just kind of fall into something, unless they're like you, where it's like, I know this is this trajectory I want my life to go in. I think a lot of times like we'll fall into something where it's like, this makes sense, I'll stick with it.
Yeah. No, and that's kind of how life goes. It's either you kind of fall into something and you stick with it, or you know this is it. This is
exactly
it.
Yes, exactly. You have one of those two moments. And I think that's a lot of that, like that. I think that's a lot of what it is. Like, I still want to be Batman. I'm never going to be Batman, but I can try.
Right. And if anything, to kind of round out the podcast, I feel like the best friends that I have now are of people who aren't even necessarily musicians or artists to begin with, but they're people that know exactly what they want to do.
Yep.
And like for example, I'm friends with a guy named Alex, and he's going to school for PT. He wants to be a physical therapist, and he's like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And even though it's not even remotely related to music, and he may also be a musician as well, and that's kind of separate from the point. But the point is like, I like to be around people who like are set in their ways, and are like set in the ways of like, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And I know what I need to do to get there. I might not like the journey that it takes to get there, but I know I need to do it to do what I love.
Yeah, and those are the people you want to hang on to and still keep relationships with, because they're going to push you in directions, and they're going to push you in to help you succeed.
Exactly.
This is what it's going to be.
They're going to inspire you. Like, you know, I had a friend, I'm not going to obviously like reveal the identity, but you know, someone who, like Uncle Chucky, our uncle, he, you know, he got into a bad state, and he ended up going down a really bad path.
Yep.
And then one day he was like, he had a realization. He's like, I know what I want to do.
Yeah.
And he turned himself around
Yep.
completely. And that's incredibly inspiring because, you know, like I remember being friends with him when we were like freshmen in high school, and then we lost touch for like 3.5, 4 years, and then he came back around and he's like a completely different person than
Yeah.
what he was after he kind of like fell off the wagon and kind of just like went haywire.
Yeah.
And it's people like that that are even more inspiring, because like recently he told me a near death experience story that happened to him where he hurt his arm really bad, and you know, and he thankfully he was right by a bunch of other kids that happened to go to our school, and they saved his life. And it turns out that one of those kids is someone that I know personally. I said, hey man, like I just want to let you know, like, thank you for saving his life, because like I don't know where I'd be without it. He's inspired me to do better in my life.
For sure.
And then that also kind of, I gained another friendship out of that. So it's just like it's a win when you surround yourself with people who, because like people who don't know what they want to do or that are kind of lost, they kind of stay in that place.
I agree.
And they keep hitting that same brick wall until they're 30 and they go, I need to like get my shit together. But hey, like I said, like we've been saying, it's okay to fail.
Yeah, embrace it, please.
There's never not enough time to fix your life.
No.
Like there's never an excuse that I don't have enough time to fix it, when you totally can.
You can, and to go along with that, you have to make the time to do it. So the excuse you're saying that I don't have the time is really you kind of subconsciously saying I don't feel like doing it.
Yeah. Like some people just don't want to put in the work, and it's like people don't realize that you have to work to be happy.
Happiness is not just granted.
Exactly.
And not to go off on a weird tangent with this, but I took a Buddhism class.
Hey, nice.
And it was my junior senior year of college. I honestly don't remember because those 2 years are kind of a blur. But I have to get the book back from my tattoo artist. It's a book the Dalai Lama wrote, basically about like happiness. And basically he does talk about that. He's like, if you want to be happy, you need to work to be happy. It's not just you're gonna wake up one day like, I'm happy. That's not how life works. If you want to be happy, you need to put in a lot of time for it.
Absolutely. And that's I think that's one of the biggest lessons that we can learn as human beings, is that like you said, happiness it isn't just granted, you know, because I you know, personally, obviously not going to say who it is, but like I know a lot of people who are very like trust fundy in their lifestyle, and not a lot, but I know enough.
Yeah, don't get me started on that topic.
Yeah. Oh my. But you know, like I remember asking one of them, like, are you really happy? And they're like, no. And I'm like, why do you think that is? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, are you working for anything? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, I think that's your problem.
Yeah, and also money can buy a lot of things, but happiness is never going to buy it.
Exactly. Like obviously there's a sarcastic, well, money could buy, but also like,
yeah, no, it can't buy me. It can't buy me in a good mood every day.
Exactly. Like a good drink or some sort of drug, it's very temporary.
Right.
And it'll go away. And it's
like I can do all the and be happy for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to be like, I just want more.
Yeah, or I'm
just going to be chasing that dragon forever.
Exactly.
And it's just a fleeting feeling.
Yeah, but hey, you know what? This is a great episode.
This is a good one.
Freaking episode. Thank you so much for tuning into episode 2 of the Just Because podcast with your host Marodelo and
Dan the Man, Dano, whatever you guys want to call me. Don't care.
Dano the Mano. Can we go with that?
Okay, I can live with that.
Dano the Mano? Okay.
I can live with that.
Thank you guys so much.
Word.
Peace.